Everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today on this very special Sunday, we are doing a double dolphin, double date paint along. So this is two canvases that when you put them together, make another painting. So you kind of get like a 3-in-1 out of this project. You can do this entirely by yourself on one long canvas. You can put two canvases together as I have, or you can paint with a friend, a coworker, or a partner, and then see how your paintings look together, which is kind of a fun thing. And speaking of partners, on the mic is my husband, John.
Hey, guys.
He helps me do all this craziness. Couldn't do it without him. And he also makes sure that you guys have a better time. He switches our cameras. They're robotic. They zoom in so you can see the techniques. He reads from the chat. And here's the thing. If you have a question, you might get it answered on the show. Be sure to put your question all in caps. It makes it easier for John to find for your best chance to have your question answered on the show. And also remember that our moderators are here to be little pollinators of joy and information, and they will share with you video links if I've already covered that information in another video and help you find anything that you need much easier. Are you guys ready to jump into this relaxing, normally Friday night, but had to be bumped for health reasons Sunday?
I think so.
All right, let's get on into this. We'll talk a little bit more about the project.
All right.
So here's my reference, and it kind of gives you an idea of what we're going to be doing. This each is a separate canvas, and if you don't draw, don't worry, because there is a traceable on the website for this exact project. Now, these are two 9x12 Artist Loft canvases that you can see I just taped together, so they're easier for me to paint. This is a really great way to economically give yourself a bigger canvas as well. So sometimes bigger canvases can be a lot more money. And if you don't have the resources for that, but want to paint something bigger, this is a great way to go. And then you just put them each individually in frames and hang them kind of like an inch apart, and they're totally there. Now, on our fun Friday shows, we like to do a few things. We like to blow bubbles. We like to be silly. We like to teach you how to paint.
Indeed.
And also, we like to start our show with a little bit of positivity and optimism. So for years now, we've been doing wishes on our canvas from our community. If you'd like to have a wish on a canvas on the show, the Art Sherpa official group on Facebook has a file, places for wishes and requests here. I'm sure one of our moderators could share the link. And that's where you would put your wish, and it might end up on the show. So going through, and I have to say, there's an overall theme this time, which was, I've noticed, what are you doing? I've noticed, you need to talk. I've noticed that some weeks there'll be themes or consistent requests or wishes. And this particular one, we're going to say right now that we want a cure for bowel cancer and bowel illness. There's so many wishes in this week about bowel disease. And so that's our wish, is that there's better treatment, early detection, and a cure for bowel cancer. So starting with that, Randy wishes her son bowel health and healing and recovery. Our own AC Brown is needing some healing on the wrist. Let me get my little, my goodness, what is up with this in the show? There we go. Healing in the wrist. Norma Ray is wishing healing for her son's bowel. Mariana wishes for strength and healing and a miracle for Little Brush Abby. And just, we want love to surround that family. They are really in a difficult, terrible time, and we just want strength around the heart. Allie to heal and recover. Robin's Little Brush to have a successful surgery and a good medical outcome. Christine to have healthy healing ears and eyes. And Crystal to keep her RN job and financial security for her family. And Lydia healing for her aunt. So those are our wishes. Those are our wishes today.
I kept pushing the wrong button. It's like, why won't it switch? Well, you got to push the right button.
So we're putting down anything. You can put your own wishes on your canvas. It doesn't have to be yours. You can put wishes, intentions, prayers, whatever speaks to you, whatever is right for you. And I use watercolor pencils to put these in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mist my surface lightly, and it's going to make it easy for me to kind of like, let's put these into the ether.
I'm going to say thank you to Louisa and Ziggy Hoopy, who sent some really cool sticker love. And there's a whole crowd of people over here just saying hello and sending Sherpa hellos and thanks. And they're having a good time chatting and out here.
Now I'm going to turn this around because I used yellow. I'm going to want that color to be where I would be having yellow and orange on my painting.
Mm.
And the other thing I might do is I might take a paper towel and kind of lighten the pigment. I use Caran d'Ache watercolor pencils, and I would recommend using Artist Loft watercolor pencils, weirdly because they're not as good.
Mhm.
Because the Caran d'Ache, they are so pigmented, and I don't want that much yellow at the top of the surface of the canvas. So there we are. That's looking pretty good. All right, we're kind of ready to go.
Yeah.
So this is a very interesting transitional piece. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to put in a water line. I'm going to paint both sides, right? If you're painting in a double date situation, when I'm painting on your side, you would follow along. And if I'm painting on your side, you would follow along. And the first thing that I'm going to do is kind of give myself a little horizon line. And I'm going to come up, oh, let's just say it's about 3 inches from the bottom, not too far up, just about 3 inches, using a tool called the Tsquare. These are inexpensive. You shouldn't have to pay a lot of money for these. And I'm going to go ahead and use a little blue marking pencil just because I need to see my water line, and you need to see my water line. This is probably your number one trick in having very successful paintings about the ocean. Horizon lines need to be level. It's like your first thing as a beginner. You can get away with a lot of stuff if your horizon line and your reflection lines run level. It will read as water to your mind. Do so very easily as well. And we can go ahead and start our ombre. I think I had a brush already kind of wet. I got this at Michael's. This is a Princeton 1-inch select artist brush. They're in the round. It's an oval mop. I use these a lot whenever I want soft transitions. You could just use a brush like this if you don't have this one. So don't be too stressed at all about what you're going to be doing. And I'm going to do here, I'm going to do an interesting thing. I'm going to come in with a little bit of white, and just around the middle space, I'm going to brush out some white. The reason is because there's a very challenging transition between our red, yellow, and blue. But if we put this white in, let's mist it. I'm going to mist mine. This is just a micro mister. It doesn't do giant drops, and will help with the flow, even if my air conditioning is pulling all the moisture out of the air. Because acrylic paint really only blends when it's wet. And I'm going to come in and get just a little smidgy, guys. Let's put our clean water over here. Smidge of our yellow. And let's start to give this a nice little yellow, light yellow transition. You guys see how that's going?
Yeah.
It's really easy to translate from red to yellow. It's really challenging to translate from red to blue. So you almost have to have the yellow space in your sky between the two of them, John.
Ah.
You do. You got to have it. I'm going to also put a little bit of my blue into my white. I want kind of a nice sky color. You know, feels like a sunset, but still got that tropical swagger. Let's come from the top going across. And I'm only working fast because I want my paint to still be wet when I get to it. The only reason you see me cooking along quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And you get here, and I'm going to go over the yellow space with my brush, and this is going to create the blend. See how I'm getting a nice sky blend, what you might expect. And then back up. I can always strengthen the blue. I can always strengthen the red. But this one here, that's the hard part, is getting that transition between that yellow space and that blue space. Now I can come back in. I've rinsed out my brush pretty well with a nice yellow. And brush up, as you do. See how we're doing? I wipe out between my brush strokes. I have a little towel here, and I wipe out between those two, and I'm brushing up. So you will have kind of a green space in your sky. What you want to avoid is solid strips. You don't want it to look like a stripe, and a stripe. Okay. And you don't want it to be bright green. That's your goal of avoidance.
Right.
Now I'm going to come back with a nice strong amount of blue and a little bit of white. I think the white helps the blue pop out. And I will just begin to improve this upper part of the sky. And like I said, it's very easy to go from red to yellow, which is why it's okay for me to get some yellow back here with my red later. They will blend easily. They will do this easily. Now, when I come here, if I go all the way down, it's all going to be green, right? So here at the edge, look at me feather. I am just pressing very lightly. Right? I'm not trying to create a strong moment. I'm just trying to create a light moment. This type of sky is a very common real sunset. It's a good one to learn how to paint. And I kind of want to grab a canvas and show and like make a stripe. After I get this done, while we take some questions, John, and thank everybody in Bubble, I want to show them how to fix the common mistake that I see.
Do you?
Yeah, because I think if they have it and then they can see how to fix it, then they will get in there, no problem, and correct it. I'm taking my CAD red. So I have here titanium white, CAD yellow, phthalo blue, CAD red medium, Mars black. Normally I shout my colors out, but I think I forgot to do that today, John.
Did you?
Yep, I do. Let's come here above our waterline.
Now, where can someone find that mister that you had earlier?
These are online and they're called micro misters. They used to be pricey. Now they're not. Now they should be about, I don't know, $6. And they are a wonderful mister to have in your art studio.
Yep. Pauline was asking, how wet should the brush be, or dry? What should it be when you're blending?
So what you want on your brush, and actually I have a video about this, but it's in my Technique Tuesday. It's called water brush paint, because there is a dance. So like right now, this is too wet, right? See that? That's too wet.
Oh, it's dripping.
Yeah. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to pull some of the moisture out. It's still damp. It's still moist, but it's not so wet that it's going to drip down my canvas and be a watercolor. I'm going to take a little bit of orange and I'm blending between these two.
And you've got two
Dipping
canvases.
back in just the toe of my brush.
So you've got two surfaces that are
They're taped together.
So that's what's making that little seam in the middle.
That's what's making that seam. If you're painting as a couple, you guys would just each have your own canvas on your easel, and then you'd want to try to match up your sunsets, and it's a good couples activity. It really is actually a good couples activity. So now here, I'm going to get a little bit of my white and yellow together again, because I know I've got to kind of strengthen and improve that little blend area. And you can see that that pulls them into each other pretty well. And John's going to find some questions. I'm going to pull a canvas and I'm going to make the most common mistake I see. And then later in the show, I'm going to show you how you could go back if it happens to you and kind of try and fix it. Because that can be kind of hard, right? Fixing any of that can be a bit of a challenge. I'm just mixing some little transitional color here. The softness of this brush is super helpful.
See, I feel like we're doing this like as a couple activity.
We do this as a couple activity. I agree.
Well, I mean, like right now, I'm not necessarily painting, but we are together making this.
I agree. I think that that's probably true.
This should almost count for me painting.
Where the paint is still wet and I want to soften and I can just come back with a clean, damp brush. and very easily soften any transitions. So see what happened there? I went back down where I had some green on my brush and I brought the green down a little far. I've got to soften that out. That happens. We go. Some nice stuff. Now John will capture the questions and I'm going to go get another canvas to sit there and show the stripe effect.
Okay. Let's see here. So I was just over here trying to check this out. About what temperature would you say is the ideal temperature for you to paint in?
Paint and you like similar temperatures.
Yeah.
When you're comfortable, your paint is comfortable.
So
You can go to any paint company's website and they'll give you a range of temperatures that your paint will perform in. But I find as we get to the colder weather, it tends to be a little stiff. And I find as we get into the hot, dry weather, it tends to dry a little fast.
So generally speaking, between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, or around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, seems to be pretty good. I'm not. If it was 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius, you're probably going to be pretty good with your paint storage, and your general experience.
Yeah. But you can find out those exact temperatures of where your paint will fail on most websites. So we'll have to let this dry, or actually, we could probably dry it with a hairdryer. And then what happens to a lot of people is that they come here and then they've got this stripe. They have these 3 distinctive stripes. It's not that it's wrong, but it looks a bit like a candy cane. I'm going to do it a little bit shorter. But this is kind of what they end up with.
Ooh.
It's not uncommon. And if it's happening to you, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't get this like beginner painting. Not knowing this and not having a teacher in your house to go, oh, you're getting the stripes and to help you through it. It's a normal thing. If you're not really familiar with acrylic paint, that's a thing that anybody would run into. So I just want to assure you that's completely normal. I can dry this here.
Okay.
And then I'll show you guys a fix real quick. We do these at a more relaxed pace.
Yeah, so this is pretty straightforward. If you're having this issue, just like the Sherpa's doing there, dry your surface, and then once she gets it dry, she'll show you how to do a little more blending technique that will help make that just easier and solvable, so you don't have to worry about it. It's pretty cool. So I think she's just making sure all the surface is dry, and that's just going to make sure that nothing lifts when she's coming back and painting over it, because if your paint isn't fully cured down, it can lift away from the surface. So you can hear that hair dryer whirring in the background, making all sorts of unwanted noise. And yep, just make sure you don't use heat in this process, because the heat can make the paint sticky as well, and that can be a problem when you're going in and doing blending techniques.
I think it's bound enough for me to be able to show the fix.
Sometimes
you want to make sure the stuff is really, really dry. So it can take a second to get it in where you need it to be to fix it. And when I find myself stuck here, or I'm talking to a student that's stuck here, I'm going to start in my lightest color, my lightest value. So yellow is my weakest color. It is going to be the hardest to get the transition up into here and down through here. So always start there. I'm going to get a little bit of my white. White helps improve the opacity of my paint. I'm going to come here and I'm going to begin to brush down. The other nice thing about the yellow is it's a bit transparent, if you're noticing. All right, bringing some little yellow back. Now here's that kind of white with a little bit of blue in it. Come right here. So not too bad. Rinsing out vigorously. You heard the swishy swishes?
I heard the swooshy.
I'm going to take a little of my blue over to my white. I'll load up. Loading up. Notice how I brush that through my brush?
You brushed it
I'm
through
going to come
your
here
brush?
and I'm just going to come back to where my little stripe mistake was and begin to soften that transition there. See how it's already better?
Yeah, it really is.
You can even come in and go on the edge of the brush to sort of create a little atmosphere effect if you need to. Or rinse out, dry off, soften. That's not bad.
No.
And then we just have the red orange down here, back into the red. And it can take a couple tries, guys. I'm mixing a light yellow orange. That's a nice color to blend into the red, isn't it?
That makes it nice and blendy.
It makes it nice and blendy. And then when you want to get into the stronger red glow of your sunset, you just work it down there.
That really helps.
Let's see, you're starting to get out of that yellow stripe phase, which is what you're trying to avoid.
You can always just make as many little transitional layers as you need to get it to where you want.
Till you get there.
That's pretty cool.
So that's the fix. That's the problem.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps.
So before we go on,
Yes.
could I ask you a question here?
You
face
can
forward?
ask me a question even as we go on. I'm going to just add a little more red to my
Oh, are you?
horizon. Yeah, but you can ask me.
Okay. So everyone here there was some talk about some masks here.
Oh, I'm so excited because we have a huge announcement today.
Yeah.
Yes. I got unlocked on my Teespring store. Just making a nice little feathery. I want it to look atmospheric here. On my Teespring store, I got a new product that they're allowing me to make, and I'm super excited about it. Really pumped. Are you ready to show them?
Oh yeah, I can pull that up. You want to see it?
Yeah. So this is the new doggy hoodie. It goes up to 6X for dogs, so it goes up to large dogs. This is the official Sherpa collection, and guess what? It has matchy face mask.
I know.
So you can do walkies and matchies.
I'm going to show you that here in just a second.
Then I also did a new face mask that's our tropical escape.
Let's see if I can show this up here. Look at this one. Oh, there it is.
There it is. See, matchies.
Matchies.
Matchies, Sherpas.
Now, there was an interesting thing is that you had a coupon code.
So I know, hey, I just feel like right now we could all use a discount. We could all use a break. So they have given me that option as well. So I've done that. That is not something that's offered by Teespring. That's from me to you guys. And you just use that and that should like cover any shipping or at least get that cost down. And look at that gorgeous like beach mask. So yeah, you got to wear a mask at the grocery store. It's the new reality, right? But there's no reason for you not to look fabulous and really enjoy what you're doing. Like none at all. So those are at the Teespring store. I'm sure the mods have the links.
They do.
I'm so excited about the Sherpa collection. I probably will add little bits to it here and there, like shirts and stuff like that. But I just thought, even if you just had a mask and your dog had a little hoodie, it was awesome for the park, right?
Yeah.
So you can be like, oh, awesome and socially distanced and everything that you have to be now. Sorry. Very excited about that.
I'm very excited about that.
It's very fun. I am going to get into my clean water. And the reason I'm changing my water so much is that dirty water on a painting like this is like your nemesis.
Oh.
And you want to, it's real hard to get the effects that you want if your water is dirty. So again, I'm going to come here and make sure that I've got a nice line. I want to make sure I've got a nice crisp line on my horizon. I can see. And then I may tape above it. I may dry it and tape above it. That's a great way of making sure that your horizon line is very level. You use tape to do that. But before I tape, I like to just make some more guides and make sure that me being on the level is on the level. Okay. I'm going to put some low tack tape down. Hopefully my paint is dry. And what this is going to do is it's going to let me brush and be all blendy. You can use masking tape from the house, or you can just paint very carefully. Those are both acceptable solutions. Just want to make sure, because the two of them are kind of taped together, so I want to just make sure that that my level is level. There we go. I'll start from the middle. Look, my low tack tape is so low tack, it's not sticking. Silly low tack tape. You know what, guys? I may be painting very delicately if my tape doesn't affix itself to something. Okay, I feel like check with your Tsquare that you're okay.
Because that level water is kind of important.
It's that important.
Because it turns into a waterfall real quick.
Real quick. So it's kind of getting off level here. The tape is not going to work, guys.
Sometimes you feel like some tape. Sometimes
you don't. This is my Dritz chalk tool.
Get your tape out.
And what I'm trying to do is line up. Okay, there we go.
You got it.
I like the Dritz. I can't tell you about the off-brand one. And these aren't so expensive. They shouldn't be. Sometimes they jack up the prices on them on Amazon because they're popular now for some reason. But it's a nice tool, and that will disappear into the paint. So I'm going to switch to a little bright here. This is a Raphael number 20 Textura. And let's go ahead and get into some yellow reflection that's going to come down. Have a little bit of red into it. It's not a bright yellow. It's kind of an orange. And I come on the edge of my brush, as you see. Edge, edge, edge. And it just comes down this middle. Now I'm going to get right into my red. Back and forth. And you'll notice that because I'm on my edge and I'm making different depth lines, that kind of also helps it feel a little bit like water. I'll go back a bit. Wipe off. And just make sure that it's nice to the edge there. And what I'm doing is just sort of blending it. I'm pulling these colors through so they feel a little bit like water. On the edge. Living on the edge. And what's great about this is it's supposed to be just a little bit orange in the middle, so you can do this. It's very helpful. Come over and do the other side. Same thing. Edge of the brush, toe of the brush, back and forth. You're painting in a couple, no being competitive. No posting on social media saying whoever did the best one doesn't have to do the dishes. That's not a good recipe for marital happiness. I see it happen all the time. I advise against it.
I challenge you to a blend off.
Well, I should have known Macklemore was going to make an appearance at some point today. Now, the thing about Cad Red and Phthalo Blue is they don't make a great purple. They are different than digital painting, right? So just be aware that when you go in there, that's going to be a little bit something to know. And don't make like steps or stairs or ladders, or you want your patterns to be kind of uneven and random. Water ripples.
And we've had a couple of bubble things that I think that I...
Okay, let me get through the blue and then we're going to bubble up.
All right.
Because we didn't do it during the fix it, did we?
No, we didn't give...
Oh, guys, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
It's just that was one I don't want to see happen to you. I know how frustrating that is, and I didn't want that to happen to you guys. And
I've got her stored up here in my little memory bank of thank yous. So.
Again, when you get here, don't expect it to be purple. Phthalo blue and cad red don't make purple.
What do they make?
I mean, kind of a purpley gray color, but it's not what you expect. And if you want purple, you'd have to add some purple paint to this circumstance. It's because there's a lot of yellow in the cad red. Brushing that in. And I'll let it dry for a minute while we're taking some questions, and then do this really cool touch-up that's going to make this look awesome. All right. Questions.
That's turning pretty
But now
awesome.
we have a nice little reflection coming down.
All right. Well, first things first, I'm going to bubble thank you.
Bubble it up.
So we'll get the bubbles out there, and I'm going to scroll up here because I believe it was Angela. Oh, come on. My little mouse scrolly is
Hold
working.
on a second. Go to any other scene, and I'll bubble us up.
All right. Let's see. Psst.
No, go to any other scene. Like
Any
the
other
palette or
Palette?
palette. There
There's
you
a palette.
go.
Oh, you're gonna put some stuff in
Bubble
there.
stuff in there, yeah.
Bubble
You could have
stuff.
also gone to one of our like little turtle scenes or any of it, but
Well, I just wasn't sure where you were. See, it's
There
okay.
you
We could
go.
have seen you put bubbles in there.
Bubbles. These bubbles are for you.
These bubbles are for you, Angela, who sent the really cool sticker.
Thank you, Angela.
I know that we had some earlier. We had from Ziggy Hoopy and Lisa Jane. I wanted to just make sure I say thank you to all the people who had sent us support here today. We really appreciate it. And my gosh, there's lots of really great shares and likes and thumbs up and little emoji cons that come through the chat. And I love those. So thank you
Don't
guys.
forget to subscribe.
Oh, yeah. You should subscribe. You know,
Hit that button, say yes. Tell me more free art lessons. Because every Friday night, in general, unless John's sick, every Friday night, we do an easy peasy lesson. And then on Saturday, we do something real pretty. Like this last Saturday, we did this cute dolphin. Right? So, see, it's dolphins easy. Dolphins more challenging. But they're both dolphins. So if you love dolphins, you have something to do. Or if you have somebody in from out of town, you have a lesson that is at both levels, whatever you guys are ready for in your painting journey.
You know, I've never heard anyone go, you know, those pesky dolphins. I think that just about everybody
I've heard
loves
surfers
dolphins.
say that, actually.
Okay, well, maybe if you're a
Because
surfer.
they'll push you out to sea.
Okay, so maybe the surfers have a legitimate claim that there may be some peskiness, but I think
Could
everybody
be
else.
rescuing you, could be using you like a beach toy.
All right.
Hard to say. Dolphins are very smart, but they seem to come with a full gamut of personality. From helpful to that guy. You know that guy.
Well, you had that photobomb guy in your last one.
Oh, that's right. You had that guy at the DMV. That guy.
I like your dolphin from yesterday.
Yeah?
Photobombing dolphin.
Photobombing dolphin. The dolphin's like, and I'm in this coral reef that's unbleached.
Say, hello.
Unbleached coral reef. So do we have any questions?
Oh, let's see here. Let me scroll back up here on the questions.
Get the questions from the community.
Dude, they were asking if I'm okay. Yeah, I'm doing okay today. I'm doing just a little under the weather yesterday. Let's see her.
I gotta remember to bring down my iPad.
Where in the horizon line should be? About how many inches up is that?
3 inches.
3 inches up from the bottom?
Yeah. It can be a half higher. You'll be okay. Or quarter. It doesn't have to be exact. Just the thicker it is, the more ocean you have.
Now, Sabrina was asking, where is it? Will the tape stick to the shiny paints?
So usually it does, but my paint was still a little bit damp. And low-tack tape, your stuff does have to be dry. The whole idea of low-tack tape is that it doesn't stick to things or tear the paint surface up. If all you have is masking tape, just hit it on your jeans a bunch of times and it get all like linty. And that's like kind of a emergency way to make low-tack tape. I always forget something in my paint kit, so I have a lot of workarounds. Like kind of on the fly workarounds, like, oh, Yeah, I forgot yellow
Mm.
or tape.
Now,
So yeah, it is helpful, but it can if the paint is dry, it will stick fairly well. If the paint's not dry, as you saw with me, not so much. And more before we get back into
yeah, no, if you would, before you go back, make sure that you show what paints you're using, and if you could just show the brushes that you had real quick before you get back into it.
So here I have Cad Yellow, Titanium White, Phthalo Blue, Cad Red, and Mars Black. I've used this number 20 Bright. I've used this Princeton Oval Mop 1 inch. It's a very common brush. My favorite version of these is this one. It's the Ultimate Varnish, but this one you can get at Michael's for a much lower cost. I don't feel like it performs it well, but it is good enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Good enough makes sense. I've also used, I think just these two.
I think that's right.
Just these two so far. I plan to use one of these for sure, and I'll probably use one of these.
Now, real quick, I'm going to answer this for.
And I may use I might use one of my fan brushes.
Robin B.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to see right here. Robin B. This is what you need to see right there. That's the coupon code. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes, for 15% off, and I'm running it to the 31st. And then what I'll do is just while we're all in this, and like when masks become optional, when they become an optional accessory item, and I'm hoping that's going to be real soon. We won't worry about it as much. But while they are such a mandatory item, I wanted to do a discount code on those. So
right.
I'll keep running them.
We'll keep running.
I have to change the name of it. It used to be Spread Joy. Now it's Art Sherpa. I don't know what I'll come up with next month.
Maybe it'll be Joy Spreads.
I'll come up with something. I don't know what to tell y'all. I'll come up with something.
We're not remarkably creative namers.
Have you noticed that about us? It's like a real thing, isn't it?
Yep.
So I'm going to get some of my red. Uh-oh. So what you're seeing there is there's a bunch of pigment. I need fresh water.
Do you?
Yep.
Okay.
When you see that you're getting your brush and that water's dirty and you can see it into the paint, you are dulling your paint.
Oh, that's not the one I wanted.
It's going to dull. There's nothing you can do, and you don't want it dull. You never want it dull. You always want to get fresh water, especially when you're working with these bright colors. Couple things that you can do. I have a video. I don't know if my mods know where it is. How to avoid the mud. And it's a whole hour-long video on like tips and tricks on how to keep your colors from being muddy. Yeah, these are all dirty. It's a dirty painting because it's their contrast. The reason your waters get dirty on a red, yellow, blue painting, because this is essentially a primary color painting. It's 3 colors. It's why I didn't add the purple in, is because whenever you mix the primaries together, you get a neutral gray, right? They gray each other out. They make kind of a gray-brown. So on top of that, Cad Red has a bit of a yellow cast to it, which is why the dioxazine, which is green, it's also, there's a hidden primary between the phthalo blue and the Cad Red. So those are just things to do. Hopefully my mods were able to avoid the mud, because it's a really helpful video on keeping colors bright. And that's what's going on when you're working with primary colors, is you will need to change your water just a lot more often. When you're working with a lot of harmonies, like say the painting just has a lot of green in it, you might go a lot longer before the water gets too dirty to work. But with this combination, you won't. And I haven't even gotten the black into it.
Yeah.
So it's a thing. All right. Let's see if we can do better this time. So I've rinsed out. And my brush says, oh, that's wonderful. And look, I go to get the red. Not as bad at all. I'm going to come here. And I'm going to just come on my edge, making these little sort of irregular red marks. I don't want to do them at an angle. Some of them to be short, some of them to be long. You're just making a nice brighter little patch of red there. Just have fun with it. There we go. Yellow is already pretty good, so make sure that these are uneven.
Mm.
Get some blue. You can put a little white into it to sort of lift its color. I guess I'll put it back firm. It's interesting painting the two canvases taped together
Oh, yeah?
because they'll move in an interesting way. And you can see the second coat really gets you that bright pop of blue. Yeah, we're getting it. Bright pop of blue. So it's big. This will all come together mostly with the reflections. The reflections are the big sort of money thing there. And what's fun, we're going to have a lot of fun with our fan brushes to get them. Fan reflections. We had that big fan video, an hour-long fan video of everything you can do with a fan brush. And if you'll remember, I said reflections were a thing that you could do. I did not lie. Still wiping out with my towel. Again, because I want my brushes to be damp, I'm just grabbing some Just Yellow. I'm just making sure that my corridor between the two paintings is at least interesting. That's what you're looking for, is an interesting corridor between the two paintings. All right. I feel like I have a nice corridor. Let's add our sun. So, my 2 cents is get your brush wet. This is a number 4 round, right? And what is nice about this brush is that the point is fairly sharp and it's responsive. The bristles don't flail out as I put pressure on it. The stroke just becomes thicker, and that's what you want in that type of brush. And I'm going to just make a little sun over this. You're just going to want to make sure your sun is about the same on both sides. Isn't that great? Making a little sun. Making the sun, making the sun. And you want it dark enough so that your white spots can show on it. But even if you're just like, let's say you're 2 best friends and you're painting this together and you each get half the painting. It's still a nice half painting, right? But you'll know, besties. Let's just bring that down here. Just make sure that that light comes down. All right. See what I'm doing? Just making sure. Now here's a fun thing. I can use a fan brush to make some really wonderful water reflections. So what I have here is, this is a number 4 Cambridge fan. It's got a hog bristle on it. And it'll do some really nice, interesting reflections. And you can also use a bright or even around, but I'm going to do the fan ones because I like the fan reflections because they're a bit sparkly on their own. Just tapping that up and down. It's a stippling effect.
A stippling effect.
Yeah. It's when you just tap the brush back and forth. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Fans are fun. I can come here with my little brush and I'm going to make some these are little waves.
Now, what are you using there?
Number 4 round again.
That's one of your Art Sherpa number 4 rounds, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Notice I'm kind of keeping these, even if they wave up, they're still pretty level. I'll bring some little wave marks in with the little sparkle marks. Just like to have fun with this stuff. We have some little side palm trees here, so you don't have to be perfect. If you mess up on the sides, don't worry about it. You're going to be painting black over it. But it's just about creating that sense of white reflection. I'm just making sure my paint's thick enough to cover. There we go. How are we doing? Do as many as you like. What I do suggest is that you do some of these marks short and some of the marks long. And if you're going to do like little dots, and it coming up also, blend them into what you've already got so that they're sort of integrated. See, I'm kind of blending these into the fan marks that I've already have.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I want to take some up. Now I have a dotting tool, but we'll just do it with the tip of the brush. This is sort of like the little sparkle of fin juice, little sparkles of water that are coming down between the two. Try to randomize your dots. Make some big, make some small. Right? You want them to all be the same size. Blendy blendies.
Mm-hmm.
Now see how sparkly and awesome that is?
It really is.
Sparkly and awesome. Sparkly and awesome. The dolphins. All right, so here we go. I'm going to, that's pretty clean, so. How I'm going to do my dolphin is I'm going to use my chalk tool. I have a traceable for you and you can use that, but I'm going to freehand these little suckers in. Basically, what they're doing is they're making a heart. I'm going to sketch in the shape of the heart first.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everything else, that's the gesture of the dolphin. So in my case, I'm going to have sisters, not twins. You guys have twins if you use the traceable. I'm going to come up here before I'll make the little dolphin bump. They have kind of a bumpy head.
Mm-hmm.
And come around, really exaggerate that. Their thickened body. We're going to exaggerate it and trim it down. Let's do a little fin here. And let's do another little fin here. There we go. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
One is
That came in pretty quick.
Huh?
That came in pretty quick.
Yeah, well, the shape of it did. We still got to paint the little silhouette guy in, but now we kind of know what we're doing. We want to do something similar, right, on this side. And this is sort of why I like the chalk, is it will let me really think, about what I'm painting. I will try to make sure that the fins are about the same position. And then I'm going to just paint these guys in with black paint. Now, I'm going to use a big brush for most of the inside. This is a number 8 cat's tongue. But just use whatever brush is comfortable for you because you just want to paint the inside black. And I'm going to add water to my black paint to improve flow. And I'm going to paint most of these guys in with my big brush, and then I'll come back with my detail brush to make the little fine shapes.
Nice.
It's easy to add black. It's tough to remove it, so it's better to just proceed cautiously. If you have very inexpensive paint, you probably will have to do 2 coats of black for it to look just right. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your painting. It's just the nature of the material.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I do see beginners do is try to paint a painting with too small of a brush. And then they're like, well, that was hard. And I'm like, yeah, I bet it was. It looked hard. Super hard with that tiny, tiny brush. So if you find like that you're just working a long time to do very little, make sure that you don't have too small of a brush for the job. I'll keep this aside for my islands in the sun. How is everybody doing?
Really good.
While we're painting the rest of the dolphins, it's a great time to take any questions anybody might have because we're just painting the silhouettes in black.
Okay. What type? They were asking again about that chalk pen.
That is a Dritz chalk tool. Dritz chalk tool.
And let's see here. Now, what's the difference between Mars and Ivory Black? I saw that earlier.
There's a video I made to tell you everything because there's really 4 main blacks that artists use. There are many, many more blacks, but there's 4 main blacks.
Mm.
And I explained to you what's the difference. Mars Black is probably the most recent black created. It is a pigmented fabrication black. It's very light fast, it's very deep, and it dries matte. Stuff like carbon black or lamp black comes from soot. And it's very deep and very black. Bone black, on the other hand, I got to talking to John, and I let a drip get away from me. That meant my brush was too wet. I just came back with I over-improved the flow of the paint.
Now, Mary was asking about that. Is it easier to use heavy body black for the dolphins and fluid for the palms?
It's easier to use fluid for the dolphins.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I don't want to make my beginners go out and buy fluid paint. But if you want to make it a little bit easier, I would use like a craft paint or a good fluid paint.
It's interesting that fluid paints, well, I should say, golden fluid paints have more pigment in them than the heavy body counterparts.
Yes.
So if you're wanting to have a lot of coverage, specifically I know that the golden fluid paints cover more than the golden heavy body paints.
It's very true, and it's true of almost everybody's company. Good companies.
And that's because, believe it or not, fluids hold more pigment per capita than the heavy body paint.
Yeah, the solids on the heavy body don't take the pigment as well as the fluid.
So, just some interesting paint chemistry.
There we go. See, we're just getting in. We're proceeding slowly, though.
Now, does fluid mean you need to lay the canvas flat?
Yes. I would not paint. Sometimes it won't run, but if you're really new and you're unfamiliar with the product, I would lay your canvas flat while you're using fluid paint. When you're used to it, you can totally get away with a lot, but until you're used to it, it may be just better to...
Go with the flow.
Yes, go with the flow. So 1 dolphin in. And you can do this. You've got this. If
Now,
you're new to
Paul,
painting and you haven't been painting since kindergarten, don't panic. You've got this. Art is fun. Its goal is not to be perfect. Its goal is to be fun. As long as you can keep it fun, you're already winning. Even for them serious artists, it's still the goal is to keep it fun. I mean, we all don't do this because it's not enjoyable.
that's right. The goal here is just to have a little fun and enjoy it.
Yeah. Don't, the serious painters are having fun too. And when I say serious painters, I mean people who are full time making their money, their living at being creative. Because when your light bill is dependent on your art, believe you me, you take it seriously.
Mm-hmm. I know this is, we're going to be done here in a flash because
Like in a flash.
So I'm going to just say thanks to everybody who's come by and joined us today because it has been really, really fun. We've had a great chat out here. There's been a lot of folks having a good time chatting away, talking about all sorts of things. And if you have a chance to join us in the live, highly recommend it. I enjoy seeing everyone out there. It's one of the great highlights of my day. So thank you guys.
And hopefully the Sunday was a fun little break. We haven't done a Sunday in a while. Haven't had a Sunday show in a while. Now I'm going to put in some palm trees. This little guy, let's come up here and give him a little bit of land for the palm trees to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to paint this all in with my bigger brush because why work extra hard, right?
Yep.
For no reason. And many of you may have been like, but I worked so hard on that corner of ocean. It's okay. We do this a lot. We paint over things a lot. Get a fluid stroke. Sometimes you've got to go under stuff you know you're going to be painting over in a minute. Now, normally I put like little grasses or all kinds of things here, but today we're going to go with just the smooth surface.
Yeah. These are just meant to sort of frame
These are banks of rocks and sand. I'm going to draw in my palm trees a little bit, and here's why. Because I need to see where they're going to go. And it helps me if I do that. So then once I have that in, I'm going to go ahead and remember that little bright I took out. But you could just do a round, whatever gives you, whatever makes this job easier for you. Paint your trunk. Your trunk should be thicker as it gets closer to the ground and thinner as it gets closer to what will be the leaves of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
I am bending these opposite ways because in my experience, it just works better.
Just looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't do that on the example.
You know, you get to digitally painting or you do stuff from an example and sometimes they're different.
You're like, I think it'll look better this way.
I do too. A lot of times, you know, the thing about references is, one, make sure you have permission to paint from them. Don't just steal people's art online.
Mm-hmm.
So license or get permission. Two, don't be, you know, if you're painting from a photograph, you don't have to paint exactly everything you see in the photograph. You paint what works for you.
Mm.
Now I'm going to put in some lines to tell myself where some fronds could go. So like a frond could go here. The frond could go there, right off the canvas. It'll be very interesting. Frond can go there, and there, and there, and like maybe one between. So right now it looks like a stick. Like, frond can go here, here. Sometimes they can cross each other. They have this weird starfish moment. I don't want to take out any of my dolphins, so I'm going to be really careful. That way. So I didn't go super long. I just gave myself guidance. Take a little fan. I just do little push-pull marks. See how they create the little fronds so easy?
Yeah.
Push, 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 push. There we go. Look at that. Now, fans are one of the best tools. They're not expensive. You can invest in good ones, but you have to know a little bit about it. So do watch my fan video. So you go into the store armed with knowledge. I make an Art Sherpa fan, and it is performance. And I'm going to let the community explain how performance-oriented it is, because at first you're like, a performance-oriented brush, until you paint with some non-performance fans, and then you're like, oh, some of these just suck. Some of them do suck. You just need a little bit of knowledge. But look when they don't suck, look what a beautiful job they do. Don't they make that work easy? So easy. Just like it was meant to be. Just darkening my little thing. I'm hearing it. So I like to add a little bit of sort of between the fronds, kind of little leafy plant material. This one here I'm using, this is a number 2 Silverstone fan. It's a hog bristle. You can get away with a lot on hog bristles. You just need to know a few things about hog bristles to get the correct one. And you might wonder, why don't you show only your fans every time? Here's why. I do think I make the best fan brush on the market. I don't want you ever to feel like you've got to have my brush or my branded material to have a good time painting, because you don't. It's awesome, and I do research and I work really hard to make sure you have a good experience, but there are good experiences out there, right? And I don't want you to ever feel like, oh man, I don't have that product in my art store. What am I going to do? I want you to feel like I can go into my art store and find a product that's going to work for me, even if they don't have an Art Sherpa product. So John, you know what?
What's that?
We're on HSN. Art Sherpa brushes are on HSN.
Oh, neat.
And they have them on FlexPay. They're a little bit higher in price point.
Well, whenever you're doing,
because I guess they're doing FlexPay, so
yeah.
they made them higher. But I was really excited to see that, because it's one of my dreams to be on HSN. It's a dream I have. I know that's a weird dream, but it's a dream I have. I feel like I would be really good at it. Not like as a host, but like with my stuff. Whenever I'm ready, what? You were saying whenever I'm ready?
Oh, I don't know. Just probably in the...
I was talking about the HSN, and you said whenever you're ready.
No idea.
What?
I have no idea.
Well, we're on HSN, baby.
I know. I think that's awesome.
I was very excited.
I'm excited.
I would like them to put the brushes more on sale, but I guess, again, FlexPay, they're financing stuff, so. Okay. On there, I think of the sets, I really like the Explorer set. Very proud of that set. The Black Pearls now is a good set. They got in there and they fixed that feral issue, because I lost my mind over it. And also the Galaxy set is there. But we're in countries all over the world. And there's a brush finder in the description of this video, and you can find those if you want. Generally, where my brushes are sold, other good stuff is sold, so it's good to kind of use it as a resource anyways. Do you guys love how these fronds are coming in? Guess what? We're kind of done.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
It's just come together so fast. I
When it
kind of
comes
knew that
together.
it would, but, always sad.
It's sad. You can always go back with anywhere you want to touch up with some paint. You can, like sometimes if I have extra black on there. There it is, guys.
You gotta sign it, though.
I gotta sign it. Oh, I have too much paint out. Guess I'll
What is
design
HSN, by the way?
another primary painting.
So what is HSN?
Home Shopping Network.
Oh,
It's in the Home Shopping Network. People are into HSN know that, though. They're
yes.
like, HSN, yes. Jim Shore's Christmas collection. So, really like it too. I'm with you. I'm with you guys if that's your jam. I get it. I'm going to do some blue on my signature. I try to use colors that are in the painting and that won't pull too much. If you do it as partners, you would each sign yours. So a signature would be over here and a signature would be over here. If you do one by yourself, then you just put the signature on one side. And you can do these digitally over the internet in like a Zoom or a Skype
Ooh.
with family members. So don't be like, feel like you've got to be together in the room, because if you use the traceable, everything will line up. Okay. Guys, look at it.
That
It's our
turned
first.
out.
Should I take it apart so we can see them separately?
If you'd like, you certainly can.
Let's do that. That way we don't have to go right this second. So I'm gonna peel my tape. I have this taped to the back. That's how I got them to stick together. Aren't it funny? Go tape, go. Go Speed Racer. Go Speed Racer. Go Speed Racer, go. Now the tape is like, no, I'm not coming off. There it goes. Okay.
Wow. That
So
really
see, they're
works.
pretty paintings on their own,
Oh, yeah.
right? It's a pretty, you could just do one side. It's a pretty painting on their own, and they're a pretty painting as a pair. Either way. That's the idea that these are great for team building at work. These are great for community-based paint-alongs. If you're doing retirement homes or library services, you get people to pair them up. That way people can, well, after social distancing is over, it's a great way for people to come together. But virtually, I don't know anymore. Do you? I don't. Oh, you're putting the mask up. Let's see.
What's
Let's
that?
see the mask one more time.
Oh, the mask one. Yeah, I can
The
put that back up
discount
there.
code.
Sure. Whoosh, there you go.
So if you're watching this more than 30 days past this video, actually I'll try to keep using that.
Well, yeah, we'll see what we can do.
I'll see what I can do. I'll try to extend that code as long as possible, or you can just always check the codes, because I will be releasing them as I have them. I'll try to keep it going as long as I can. I just want you guys to be able to get a discount, especially during all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How was that? Was that fun?
That was fantastic.
All right. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Oh, let's put some bubbles out here on our way out. Texas snowflakes. I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.